this is another more what if kind of philosophical, less theoretical thing that I have here. So basically, what I'm saying is, what if we are like electrons? Basically, we fall down to the nucleus. We're in a low energy state, right? And then we get excited again, and boom, we're back up to a higher energy state. And um, what if that's basically what we're doing, right? Like, what if instead of us dying, right? Like when we die, what if it's instead of what we see as death is the end? What if it's just back down to a low energy state, gotta recharge or get wait for more energy, and then we get hit with more energy, right? And then boom, we're excited, and then that's when we're born anew. So what if that's kind of like how things work? We're just we're not really dying. We're just falling back to a lower energy state, and we have to wait until we get re-excited to be reborn, right? If everything else is cyclical, right, in the world that we observe and the reality that we live in, if everything is cyclical in nature, why wouldn't we be cyclical in nature? Is kind of what I'm getting at. If everything that makes us up works in cycles, if everything around us works in cycles, why would we be the exception? So that's pretty much the end of that thought. So yeah, peace out. I kind of talked about this on the larger scale. I kind of talked about this on the smaller scale, looking down, but I stopped at us. And I feel like the logical thing is that, it continues beyond us. When I was talking about, black holes and whatever. But, I think that this can be expanded to kind of give us a better understanding of our planet, because if we see everything as these organisms that are basically taking energy in and sending energy out, then you can look at our planet and what is our planet doing? It's taking in the energy of the sun and sending energy out, and everything that evolves on the planet is of the planet and is basically just increasing that energy consumption and release, right? It's trying to increase the entropy as much as possible. And so here we are, right? And we evolved to be on this planet, and it kind of changes your perspective a little bit, because it's almost like we're the cells of the planet, working to keep the planet's main function, going, which is um uh you know uh, increase entropy. And um we know that cancer is a thing, right? And so even though we are basically cells of uh, the body, right, which is the planet, we can still harm it, right? And I don't know, maybe it's an interesting parallel that our behavior is very cancerous towards the planet, and cancer is more common in us now. Um, you know, maybe there's something to be learned from that, but what I'm trying to say is that uh, I'll try and get to the part. basically, we look at the world around us. We look at just like random objects as, uh, these unfeeling dead things. And I think that we're wrong. I think we're very wrong. I think everything not necessarily is feeling and is like, oh, like I'm sad right now. Like a rock isn't just like, oh man, I'm so sad right now. Like, I don't think they're feeling or thinking like that, but but everything is alive on a fundamental level. And I think that it's an interesting perspective to have because, like I said, with our planet, our planet basically made us, and um, we're here to kind of do our function, which is increase entropy, um, and help dissipate energy. And we're doing a pretty good job, I think, but we're not doing it in the best manner. Um, and I think it's just we don't see life at that level. But there's really like not a big change there because we say, oh, starfish are alive, right? But what is a starfish really doing, right? Um, you know, I don't even know if does starfish have a brain. I don't know. I don't think they do, right? And so we say, oh, starfish. Oh yeah, that's alive for sure. A sea urchin, right? Oh, that's alive for sure, right? Like a sponge. Oh yeah, that's alive, right? Um, why are those things alive, right? But then we look at like atoms and stuff, and we're like, oh no, 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 no way, those things aren't alive. Um, and I think that's interesting. It's what because they don't reproduce. Um, I don't, I don't know if that's necessarily true. Like, I mean, like they do. Um, split up into make more atoms and stuff and things like that. I don't know. They don't need to reproduce because there's already plenty. There's already plenty of them. I don't know. But you know, the problem comes basically when we're seeing like you know, everything is basically alive down to the bare bones of what we can observe and experience. Everything beyond um, what we can necessarily see and like above us and like like larger than um, us basically is also alive and um, we're not just we can see this planet we see the planet as like this dead object we're just kind of like living on and we're just chilling on this piece of rock. But what if we're actually on an organism on a scale that like we can't even really comprehend. It really is like a change of perspective, and a lot of people will probably laugh at me for saying something like that. They're like, you're so dumb. But personally, I disagree. So yeah. But it kind of puts us in check because we're no longer just this like superior human race living on this random planet, but we're on this planet for a reason, and this reason is not our own. It's necessarily it's the planet is kind of like our creator almost, and in the same way that like we're the creators of our cells, it's not necessarily conscious, right? We're not consciously like, oh, I got to make another 5 million cells. Like you don't think about it. That just kind of happens, right? But it doesn't change the fact that that's pretty much what's happening here. Is that's what we are, and we may say, well, who cares if it's alive? We're gonna keep doing what we're doing. Well, if your cancer cells say, who cares if he's alive, right? We're just gonna keep doing what we're doing. Well, guess what? They kill you and then they die too. Right? So like, in the long run, what the heck are we doing? Right? And then, if we say, oh, well, we'll kill the planet, but we'll just go to the next one, right? We'll go colonize Mars. Well, now it sounds like we're a virus, right? Because what does a virus do? It builds up enough resources and then it spreads. It spreads itself to other places, right? What are we doing, right? What are we doing? Anyway, another thing I wanted to say here is like basically, we're like pretty chaotic beings, and we're increasing entropy, which is an approach towards balance, and so we're trying to create balance through our chaotic behavior, basically, which I think is kind of funny because it's like, oh, we're making balance, but in the most chaotic way possible. And I don't know, I just kind of like that, like, contradiction. And I've kind of talked about this in a talk, because I was saying, what's the difference between order and chaos? And, we can say, like, we're chaotic beings because, for any given reason, I could start hopping around the room, right? But when we build, like, structures, we like to build things orderly. We like to keep things organized, in general. So we build a room and we don't have it all curvy and weavy, if that's a word. And we like make things nice and straight and stuff. And I mean, it's the most efficient way to build things. So it's not just because we like straight lines, but we do like straight lines. But it's also, again, because things are more efficient that way. But we keep it ordered and organized because that's just how we work. That's what we like, to keep things orderly. But the thing is that ordered things is the most improbable thing in the entire universe. To have like a structure, like an organized, orderly structure, is an extremely unlikely event. So for every building that we build, we are defying probability, right? Probability says that structure will never exist, right? In the universe, right, there is no way that a building's just going to create itself. But guess what? One did. And you could say, oh, well, that's because we built it. But that's assuming that you're outside of this universe. You're not. You're not outside of this universe. You're in it. You're a part of it. And so even though, we made it happen, so we think, oh, well, it didn't just pop out of nowhere. Who said it had to? The fact that it exists at all is basically impossible in the probability standpoint. The fact that anything in our world exists here at all is basically impossible. But the fact that your car, right? Like if you have a car, or if you have a bike, if you have anything, right? The fact that that thing exists, the probability of it existing is basically zero. You know, ignoring the fact that existence itself is basically zero. But your bike, your car is basically zero. So anything that you make, anything that you create, every painting, every, you know, meal, everything that you do, the probability of it happening is basically zero. But you do it every day. So every day you're defying the probability of the universe. And to do that, we are increasing entropy by a lot. And so we're doing a great job, right? But I just think it's so crazy that these extremely organized and orderly things that we do are extremely improbable. And in a sense, are the most chaotic things we could possibly do. Keeping things organized is the most chaotic thing we could do, because everything else is chaotic, right? Everything is, you know, unorganized. It's spread out. It's not structured. So creating a structure is almost like is insanity, because it doesn't exist anywhere else. But we make it happen. We do it every day. And I think that's really interesting. And I think it's really cool too. But I also think that it leads us to, you know, a conclusion here that, you know, our existence defies everything about the universe, you know, other than the fact that we're doing a great job of increasing entropy, right? Everything else is so improbable. Every action we do is so improbable. And we just kind of go through life like it's nothing. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like everything you do would not, like, the actions you're taking do not happen in a universe where we don't exist, right? And I don't know. I just think it's cool that it does. And it's just kind of funny how these like insanely improbable things are just things that they just happen. And we don't think anything of it. And I think I've talked about this before, but in my like videos where I make like my like absurd little skits or whatever, and it's like, what the heck is going on here? And that's basically what I'm going for is, what the heck is going on here? And I've said that before, but I think it's just funny to kind of make these random crazy things, right? That would never happen. Like, it's absurd. It would never happen if, it would never happen like normally. But it did happen because I did it, right? And I don't know. I just think that that's kind of funny. I just think I think the absurd is hilarious because it would never exist if we don't do it, right? And I don't know. I just think that there's some charm in that, and I don't know. I like it. So that's why I do that. That's why I may seem a little crazy, but yeah, I think that's all for this one. So peace out.